Hi guys, welcome back to Bible Time with Larry. This is episode 5, and I'm Larry. You could probably guess that. And this is my wife, Pam.
Hello.
This week, we're going to be talking about investments, but probably not what you think. But before we get to that, let's talk about a little bit of news. You're probably aware of Hurricane Idalia.
Idalia.
I don't know who comes up with these
Vidalia?
names. Yeah, Idalia. Yeah, anyway.
I kind of like that because there probably aren't many people named that, and then they don't have to feel bad.
That's
like our
point.
son, Andrew, that hurricane was really bad in South Florida way back
but
when.
He wasn't born yet.
It doesn't matter. It's still his name.
That's true.
You know, if you're like, I'm a hurricane.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it hit Florida, as you probably know, and in the panhandle, right in the bend. We actually lived not far from, a couple hours from that area where it hit. We were just south of Ocala, and that's where we moved from. But our son Andrew is still there, and they got some rain, but most of the storm and wind, but most of the storm missed them. It was further north, but there were some of the areas were affected. The story, I don't know if you remember last time, the story about the fishing trip where I got lost. You remember that? Yankeetown, that was one of the areas they got hit pretty hard there. It's a real low-lying area right on the coast, and they got hit pretty hard. Cedar Key, all that. I mean, they got pummeled pretty bad.
So sad, too, because those are like iconic areas. But someone said they're not as heavily populated as...
If you're to make, I guess, a good spin on a bad thing, it came through the bulk of the storm, or the eye of the storm, actually came through an area where it's not as densely populated. Whereas, like, if it came through Miami,
St.
Orlando,
Petersburg, where it was going to go in,
right?
Yeah.
It would have been really bad. So
now those areas got a lot of the outer bands.
Right, they got flooded, and
we
things
had
like
friends in St. Petersburg that it came right up to their back door and right up to their front door.
Yeah,
and didn't go in.
So that's and so we're gonna keep those people in prayers as far as rebuilding and all that, and it's just tough to.
It's got to be a tough time.
And that's gonna tie in later. We'll come back to this about losing things like that and stuff, but we're gonna go into investments. Like I said, it's we got houses, cars, money market, IRAs, hedge funds, all kinds of investments, 401k. You name it, but that's not what we're talking about. You know why? Because we're not qualified, and we're not good at any of those things.
We're really not, are we?
Yeah, unfortunately. So don't look to us for financial investment advice.
We have some growth in those departments.
Exactly. I wish we had more growth in those departments.
Good point. I mean, we have some growing to do as far as knowledge.
Right. But we're going to talk about other types of investments. And to me, I would say more important investments.
For sure.
So when we talk about investments, we're going to talk about like what are your treasures? What do you treasure? This is a side note. We didn't talk about this, but the movie. You probably don't remember the movie Richie Rich.
I do remember that one. Well, at least the most recent remake of it. Or is there only one?
As far as I know, there's only one. But that was like
I do remember that one.
20 years ago.
That was kind of cool, though. The ending was...
Right, that's my point. So the bad guy in that movie, he's trying to steal their wealth to get to their secret safe.
Their stash.
Because he thought there's untold wealth there. Gotta be.
Yeah.
Well, he finds it. But what he finds are things like baby albums, family memorabilia, things like that have no value to anybody except for that family, the Richie Rich family. So he was very disappointed. But so when we talk about investments, we want to know, we're talking about eternal investments, things like we'll get into them. So that's what we're talking about. And the Bible says we need to have treasures in heaven. Do you want to read Matthew 6:19 through 20?
Sure. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal.
All right, and go ahead and do the next one, 1 Corinthians 3:20.
Okay, 1 Corinthians 3:12.
I'm sorry.
That one? Okay.
Yeah, not 20.
That's okay.
I got to learn to
The
read.
20 was on Matthew. That's okay. 1 Corinthians 3:12. Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest. For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
Right. We think of wood, hay, and stubble, those things. If you try those by fire, they're going to be gone because they just burn up really quickly.
Yeah.
So we're looking to have eternal treasures where, and like it says in Matthew, where thieves aren't going to break in and steal. They're not going to be taken. They have eternal value, and they will be there for eternity. And they're not going to rust. They're not going to break. They're going to be, I would say in a sense, they're going to have eternal growth in a sense. I could be wrong on that, but it's going to have eternal value for sure. So, So we're going to talk about like, what are these investments? And let's get into that. First one, I think this is the most important. Would you say, or in our list that we have?
I would.
You might have something that you find more important, but I doubt it. Honestly doubt it. Mm-hmm. So the first treasure, or the first investment we should make is our family. Mm-hmm. The relationship between a husband and wife. I mean, that's foundational.
Yeah.
That's where it all started, was between a man and a woman. Yeah. God, and marriage is instituted first. And
this is something that you have said in the past, that if we aren't keeping, investing in each other and keeping our relationship where it needs to be, which is tricky when you're raising kids and you're all over creation and doing this and that, and you're just trying to meet each child's needs and feed their souls and their bodies and, everything. You sometimes maybe don't invest in each other.
Right.
But you always said when they all leave, which they probably will,
hopefully,
then we have each other left.
Yeah, that's it.
And so did we invest? Did we build that relationship?
Right. And that, like I said, that relationship is first and foremost and fundamental to society as a whole. I mean, I know that sounds big, but the family unit. So first it's husband and wife. You need, like you said, you need to invest in each other. And then children are next. They're part of the family. And that whole family unit is a foundation of society. Societies that have strong family units have a strong, stable society. And you can see throughout history when societies start to break down, it's because the family unit starts to break down in that structure. Mm-hmm. And then that society is on the verge of collapse, or they do collapse. So investing in your family is of most importance, especially when it comes to eternal value. Because God chose to use marriage as a picture of Christ and the church. The church is referred to as the bride of Christ. So if your marriage is not doing too well, your kids are going to pick up on that. And in fact, your kids, I mean, we've seen this. Statistics show that kids that grow up in a home without a father, for example, they're more prone for teen pregnancy, crime, gangs, all kinds of bad stuff. It doesn't end well. Mm-hmm. So that's just without a father. But the same, if divorce families, the kids pay the biggest price in a divorce situation if it's just a divorce between a man and a woman and no kids involved, that's bad enough. Mm-hmm. But when you throw kids in there, that really, it affects them in tremendous ways that you don't see until much later. So, so family is first and foremost as far as investing. Next, this time. That seems like an obvious one. You invest in time. Well, it's like, how can you invest in time? Because you can't buy more time. Really, I mean, there was a movie, I can't think of the name of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but the premise of the movie was on your forearm, it had the number of years or the time you had left to live.
Oh, wow.
You could trade that time for things. They didn't have money, so you would trade it for, say, car or house payment, things like that, and it would take off years of your life.
Oh, my.
Or you could add more time by doing other. Like I said, I didn't see the movie, but I know that was the premise of it. So
That's interesting.
yeah, kind of interesting concept. But
Yeah.
but time is one. In a sense, we all have the same amount of time. I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day. No matter where you are in the world, it's 24 hours. 365 days in a year, unless it's a leap year. Well, actually, if you want to get technical, it's 364 and a quarter, and every 4 years you have a leap year. Anyway, that's
Spend it wisely, right?
yeah, spend it wisely.
You never get
yeah.
it back.
But there's no guarantee in life. We don't know day to day if we're going to see the next hour. We just there's no guarantee, and we don't know when our end will come. So
Yeah.
there are some things like James 4:14. You want to take that one?
Sure. James 4:14. Whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away.
That is so true. There's another, I guess, cultural reference. Kenny Rogers years ago did a song. Do you remember?
You're pulling them all out of the hat
know.
today. I don't.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah.
I remember that song. The first time I heard it, I was like 18 years old, and I'm like, 20 years ago, I didn't even exist. but now I think 20 years ago, we'd already been married for quite a while at that point. So I'm 53, so I would have been 33 20 years ago. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day. It said somebody was talking about 30 years ago, and I was thinking the 70s. And they said, no, the 90s. And I was like, wow, now I feel
I
old.
do remember thinking when we were first married, like somebody saying, I think it was 20, somebody saying 20 years ago. And I was just like, wow, 20 years ago. I can barely even say anything about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Because I would have been like 15, you know? So
but it's gone by so fast. I mean, this year we're going to have our 32nd wedding anniversary.
yes, good memory.
Yeah, and it's gone by like just so fast. It's just amazing. It's on one hand, it seems like it's gone by fast, but on the other hand, it seems like it's just always been. So it's kind of weird.
I know. Time is interesting that way.
Yeah, so we don't know. Our life is a vapor. We don't know how long we're going to be here. And even if we're going to be here 100 years, it goes by fast. You think this is 2023, 100 years ago was 1923.
Wow.
Yeah. Automobiles were fairly new. I mean, they've been around some, but it was still kind of fairly new.
Right.
Mass production of the automobile was new. Air traffic was new. I mean, it's just so many things. In the last 100 years, you think about how much our world has changed. There was no cell phone. There was barely telephones. There was no TV. Radio was new.
My goodness. Yeah.
No computers. Nobody even knew what a computer was then. That word wasn't even invented. So
Right.
100 years goes by fast. It's not. So, yeah, we have to. So, with time, we need to redeem the time because we don't know when it's going to be. And redeeming the time is, you have to consider the moment, I would say. This is how I would define redeeming the time. I think you looked up a different definition, but I say consider the moment you do have and what you're going to do with it. So, I wish I could say this was not true, but I think I have so much time I've wasted on just dumb stuff that I could have been.
Yeah, we are preaching to the choir here, especially on this one, I would say.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
I think it's just tough in general, especially now.
Yeah.
There's so many things to help steal our time, and it's probably a ploy.
It is funny because as society advanced and we got more modern and all the computers and things, it's supposed to make our life easier. All it is stuff to fill up more time.
Yeah.
So whereas before if you had a farm, you didn't have time to sit and watch videos on YouTube.
No, your very existence depended on you spending that time wisely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have that anymore.
Right. You think of times when people didn't have running water and you had to actually go to the river or the creek or the well, whatever, and pump the water, carry it in.
Yeah.
If you neglected doing that, you didn't have water. You couldn't go to the faucet and just turn it on. It's just so.
And now everything is just there.
Yeah.
One of our sons said, I went to the refrigerator and all I found, I was looking for food. All I found were ingredients.
Yeah, that's right.
It just makes me think of how far we've come.
Right,
Open the
exactly,
fridge
yeah.
and just
Yeah, think about that.
Food.
Like, I mean, all these things that are supposed to make our lives easier and when we'd have more time, but we in a sense we do, but most of the time we ended up, like me, we end up wasting it. And
or all the newfangled things that help us save time break.
yeah, that's
Like our washing machine right now.
Right. Yeah, good point. So, one more point on this, Ephesians 5:16. I can take this one. It says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So yeah, like I said, the world is not getting better. Christ is coming. We don't know when. That's another thing about time. We don't know when he's coming, and we need to be prepared. And part of that is investing our time that we do have wisely and using that for more meaningful things.
And another thing on that is we know probably more than one handful now of people who died very suddenly close to us.
Yeah.
Or
that's true,
within 3 or 4 people, beyond us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just, the blink like that and they're gone.
Yeah.
I think it really sobers you.
But yeah, I guess, are you thinking of Jack?
Well, several, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he seemed like a healthy guy, and one night, he had a heart attack, and that was it. He was, I don't remember how old he was. Early 60s from what I remember, but maybe younger, but it wasn't that old. It wasn't like he's 100 years old or 95 and expecting it. It was out of the blue. So we don't know. I mean, there's just so many things in life that is unpredictable and out of our control. But so we do need to be aware of our time and what we're doing with it. As much as I hate to say that and how convicting that is for me.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just a good reminder, I think, for all of us. And like you said, for us, for sure. Too.
Yeah. So the next thing, as far as investment let me say that again. As far as investing in eternal things, ministry would be another thing to invest in. Now, I'm not talking about starting an organization or even where you need to go to school to get a degree to become a professional pastor or something like that. Have a DD behind your name, Doctorate of Divinity. You don't need any of those things. You can minister where you are.
Yeah, unless God is leading them that way,
right?
For sure. But there are definitely other ways to do it that doesn't have to be as involved.
Right. I mean, I know that we're doing this. This here is kind of a ministry teaching Bible, and there's other people on YouTube doing the same thing because this is a way for us to reach people where we probably couldn't reach otherwise. So you could do the same thing, sharing the gospel, passing out tracts, teaching the Bible. Now, if you're going to teach the Bible, you should know it. So, which is a good thing. You need to know it. There's other means of spreading the gospel of salvation for sure. Prayer is a ministry that you can invest in
anytime, anywhere.
Right, and we know stories of missionaries who were in grave danger. They're relating their story, and they say, and miraculously they were saved in some way, and they give the time, an hour, and then somebody says, "Well, I was awakened at that time to pray for you." And so there's so many stories of that. And even Jesus said, we don't have this on our notes. I just thought of this. Sometimes these things come to my mind as we talk about
That's good.
But pray ye the Lord of the harvest that he send forth laborers.
Yes.
So prayer is important. That's another investment you can do.
Yeah.
And it's not just, praying for ministry opportunities, praying for those who are ministering, missionaries, things like that. That's important.
Yeah. I actually get chills thinking of the one story we heard about the 26 angels guarding that medical missionary guy that had gone from his village a long walk into somewhere.
He was out in the bush too
to get medical supplies, and on his way back, he took a tent, and on his way back, he was tenting out, and people knew he went in to get medical supplies, and they wanted to steal his medical supplies.
Right. And they were probably going to kill him.
And then somehow he found out that they came upon his tent, and they were going to, but there were all these large guards, 26 they counted, these large guards.
Yeah.
And those were angels. And when he came back to the United States and was reporting that to Ascending Church, they had a special prayer meeting for him. And apparently the pastor asked those people that were at that prayer meeting to stand up. And there were, guess how many?
How many?
26.
Yeah.
That I do.
amazing,
I
yeah.
just get chills again hearing that story repeated. It's amazing.
Right. And
That's our God.
another form of ministry would be acts of service. Like there's Samaritan's Purse, 8 Days of Hope. These are, you can do this as an individual as well. If you know a neighbor in need or something.
Especially thinking about all these people displaced right now and needing help.
Right. Think of like Florida with the hurricane, Louisiana with the fires. These people have lost things and they're in need. Which brings me, I mentioned this earlier, we're going to come back to this, but the investments, the material investments. Now, I'm not saying those things are evil, but if all your hope in life is built on those things and those material things, you're going to be disappointed. Because those things can be taken in an instant. It can be gone.
That's where our friends were saying it was very sobering because, it could be.
Right.
They said that water just could have flooded in, and lots of their neighbors, it did.
Right. And so, sometimes bad things happen to Christians as well. We're not exempt in this world.
Absolutely not.
And if our faith is built on God always giving us good, and what good is it? I mean, you can't exercise your faith. We were talking about this earlier today, but you can't exercise your faith unless it's been tried. And when you exercise, like if you exercise your muscles and you've never exercised before, you're going to be sore and it's going to hurt. But that doesn't mean you should quit. Yeah. So sometimes God gives us these things as an opportunity. We look at it as, I think of this whole last year for us, it was an exercise in faith. And it hurt sometimes.
I think you're doing your famous Larry move and skipping ahead a couple episodes.
Well,
but something came to mind as you're talking about that, and I think it does fit in because, when you are ministering to people, you do need an element of faith in that. And you need to really be trusting and relying on God. And I like the one that you just said about exercising because like the rubber band. Can I do the rubber band illustration?
Sure.
That's one of my favorites.
I don't know which one it is.
That's one of my favorites. I think it was Mark Radish actually in college told this one.
Oh, that's funny.
Larry knows that one because we went to the same college.
Yeah.
Different years.
Yeah.
Anyway, the rubber band is on the table. The executive comes in to wrap that rubber band around a pile of papers or whatever. And the rubber band jumps out of his hand. And
wow.
I know it's one of those kind.
Lively fellow.
Exactly. And says, ouch, that hurts. Don't do that to me. And he picks up the rubber band and he looks at it and he says, if I can't stretch you, I can't use you.
Yeah. Because
throws them in the trash can.
Yeah, a rubber band is no good just sitting there. It's meant to be stretched.
Isn't that good though?
It is good.
I just always, and I know he was relating that to our faith and our Christian walk.
Right.
If God can't stretch us, can he use us?
That's a good point. And so with that, if you're talking about laying up your treasures in heaven, if you're investing in like what we're talking about, and there's probably more things you could think of, but these things, a hurricane's not going to come and wash them away. Fire's not going to burn them up. They're secured in heaven. So
Amen.
They're there. And the last thing, it's kind of similar to the first. It's people, souls. We need to invest in people.
Yeah.
And that's hard sometimes because people are difficult.
What you're saying?
What's that?
What you're saying about used to be a people person?
Yeah, I used to be a people person, but people ruined it for me. So, but no, sometimes we can be difficult. I mean, you think of God. I'm amazed. You read the book of Judges, and I'm thinking, that's got to be so frustrating for God because every time the people of Israel, they forsake him, they worship idols. He judges them. They cry out. He brings a prophet to restore them, redeem them, whatever, deliver them. And then they're good for a while, and then they end up worshiping idols again. The cycle. It's just a cycle. I'd be like, what is wrong with you people? I've had it.
And then we end up being like those people sometimes.
Yeah, I know. So I'm one of those people. So
yikes.
Yeah, I often think, that's the irony of marriage is you have two imperfect people and sometimes, and in ways, two selfish people trying to live together in harmony. And sometimes I think God must have been thinking, okay, this is going to be funny because watch this. So,
Right.
but maybe not. I don't know. But seriously, though, that's what God's concerned about. God's concerned about people. And He's so concerned that He went to great lengths to send His Son, Christ, to conquer sin. He became a man, lived like we did. And think about this. The humility, the humbling. Jesus goes from being the God of the universe, the creator, to becoming a baby who has to have his diapers changed. And then learn how to talk, go through all the stuff that we go through that's sometimes humiliating, demeaning in a sense. And then he grows up, he conquers sin, he's tempted in every point like we are, conquers sin, and then the very people he's come to save, they start shouting, crucify him. He's executed, sheds his blood on our behalf, and then rose again, all so that he can redeem us to himself. So that's how important we are to God. Now, there's a famous quote. You like this one. So it's C.T. Studd.
Yeah, I actually thought it was in the Bible when I heard it somewhere before, and I thought, where is that? And I was looking all over the Bible for it. Had to go to Google. Only one life 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last.
Yeah.
C.T. Studd.
So there's some examples of eternal investments that I think will be hopefully an encouragement to you. The time aspect was, all this actually was kind of stepping on my toes a bit. It was not.
Yeah, it is because, like you said, people make it difficult to minister to people.
Yeah, they do. So.
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
another saying is, I want to be the kind of person my dog thinks I am, because my dog thinks I'm the greatest in the world.
Oh, that's funny.
Alrighty, so enough with that. We're going to move on to our next segment, the Let's Get Personal segment.
Let's get personal.
So before we do that, it's time for our sponsor.
A sponsor.
Now, this is a sponsor we've had before, and it's not because they asked us. It's because we want to. So it's important to us.
We asked them.
We asked it. It's our sponsor this week is, well, before we get into it, you'll probably figure it out. But are you looking for a vacation getaway for you and your families, a place that's safe for your family, a place that's fun to go to? You're going to meet new people, maybe some old friends. They might be there. We're talking about Mississippi, the beautiful state of Mississippi, specifically in Pulaski, Mississippi, that booming metropolis. Okay, well, it's not that, but the Allelon Family Camp.
It's a beautiful country.
Coming up, you want to get the dates?
Yes, September 28th through October 1st.
And you can register at Mississippi. Easy for you to say. MississippiShindig.com. You can sign up on the website, right?
Yep.
It's going to be a great weekend. It starts Thursday, goes through Sunday. There's the cabins. Food will be provided. It's included in the price. It's a great time. Be great speakers. Yeah, there's a little joke there, but if you go, you'll figure out the joke on that one. Alrighty, so that's our sponsor for this week, the Allelon Family Camp, MississippiShindig.com.
Yep, and if they go,
oh yes, if you
and
go,
they've seen our show. See what I did there?
That's very good. You're a poet, and I didn't even know it.
You know, now.
Yeah, so we made this announcement last time, but we're going to make it again. If you want to go, if you are going to the show,
to the camp.
if you, alrighty.
Whatever. It could be a show too.
Yes.
In some ways.
Yes, it will be. But if you're going to the camp and you'd like to get a t-shirt like this,
Yes.
then
T-shirts.
Email us your name, first and last, or nickname at larryglarryg@hotmail.com.
Yes.
And on Thursday nights, we're going to do a drawing to give away 3 t-shirts.
Just one Thursday night. But yes, 3 t-shirts.
Yes. On Thursday night of the camp. So
Yes.
if you're not going,
The 28th.
I'm sorry, this is, yeah.
So get there. If you are going, get there by Thursday night.
Right. Get there
And if you are going and you want to be in the drawing for a t-shirt, make sure you email larryglarryg larryglarryg@hotmail.com.
All right. You said it a lot clearer. I
All
made
run together.
it. All right.
We'll put it on the screen too.
So there's our sponsor. So let's get into the let's get personal.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get personal. What do we have for that today?
I don't know. We have
We're
some
running out
personal,
of stuff. We're just
little known facts.
I think we're boring
so
sometimes.
here's a little known fact about me. Some of you may know. I'll go first.
Hon, here's a question for you.
Okay.
What's a little known fact about you?
Oh, well, a little known fact about me is... well, actually, I'm going to jump ahead, but...
Okay. That's
well,
okay.
A little known fact about both of us. How's that?
Yeah, both of us. Sure.
We're both middle children. I'm the second born of 3. You're the second born of 3. Except for my position in the family has changed.
Well, and of your original 3,
Right,
your
of the-
biological 3, you have girls on either side of you.
Correct.
And I have a brother
And a sister.
and a sister on
Now,
either
it'd
side
be
of
nice
me.
if you had a brother, you were in between, then it'd be opposite.
Right.
But anyway.
Didn't happen that way.
But I have 3 adopted brothers. Actually, let me correct that. Technically, I have 5. It's a long story. It's kind of a weird story. But so technically, I have 5 adopted brothers and sisters. So that makes me the second oldest out of all of them. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you got a question?
That was it.
Ah,
That's what I said. We're kind of boring.
yeah, kind
Kind of
boring.
lame this time. Can you think of anything else that would be interesting
Well,
for them to know about us?
for me anyway. We did your hobbies. Okay, so what about what if you did we ask this question? I think we did. What would you like to do if you had a free day?
Oh, a free day.
If you had a free day and you could do whatever for that day, what would you like to do?
I'd probably go see one or all of my kids if I could manage that. They're sort of spread out all over creation.
Well, technically with air travel, you could. I mean,
That would be quite a day.
It'd be a day, but you could.
Yeah, but if I
technically.
could only pick, and I know that some might be jealous about this, but I would pick the girls right now for sure.
Well, yeah, because you could get 2 for 1 on that.
Well, and the one in Florida is planning a wedding, so he doesn't have any time right now.
Well,
And
that's
he's getting
true,
his
yeah.
house all set up, doing a good job, getting it all ready for the little lady. And the one in Arizona is busy as all get out.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, you
So
would
the
have-
girls are actually available a little bit more than the boys. Not that I wouldn't want to see my boys too.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
but next month for the wedding, we will.
we
There's-
will. Yeah, that's right. So we got a wedding coming up. Number 3 for us.
I know. Cray.
Yeah.
Within 6 months, right? Or 6.5, something like that.
Yep. Oh, okay. So here's a little known fact for me. A
Okay.
little personal
Let's
thing.
hear it.
So, as we've mentioned before, we bought a house up here. We fixed it up. We sold it. We bought another house. And now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next? Well, I'm going to do something completely different that I've never done before.
Really? What are you going to do, Larry?
I'm actually going to, I'm going to get my real estate license to be a realtor. So
And the
that's
crowd goes wild.
yeah, I mean, it's
Wah!
a completely different career path that I didn't think I'd ever take, but
Very cool.
just thought, why not? Let's try something different, something completely different and see where it goes.
Yep.
So I've already taken in Louisiana here, you have to take 90 hours of class time, either online or in person. Finished that. So I'm just preparing for the state test.
And you're so smart. There's no way you're not going to pass that.
Yeah.
There's no way. That was for Mike.
So, all right.
You're definitely going to pass that. I am sure of it. Oh, wait, you got to leave off with your little,
Well, yeah. So here's some. I always like to end the show with something for you to live by.
little bit to chew on.
Yeah, something to chew.
And
We actually had a
remember-
couple of things, right?
Yeah.
What were they?
There were some funnies on there, I think.
Yeah, these were pretty funny. So
You can spread them out over time, though.
I'm using the banned word. So
The banned word.
I've used that a couple of times. The next time you feel like God can't use you, just remember, Leah was ugly.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, that's from. You'll look it up.
That's great.
Anyway,
Are you going to do 2?
well, yeah, I was going to do another one, but
he's
that's
gotta
kind
do
of a
another
funny.
one.
But also remember, Jacob was a liar. Yeah, you look at the history of the Old Testament; those guys weren't. They had some issues. We'll say that.
So when we feel like a loser,
All right, and for the final one, God wants spiritual fruit, not religious nuts.
Oh.
Until next time, and hope to see you at the family camp.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.